Live. Broadcast is live. We're trying this. Third time's a charm. Let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. We got Periscope's looking good. And YouTube's on. Perfect. I don't know what happened last time, but it looks like we're working. So, if you've been paying attention, folks, been talking about oligarchy, been talking about the income funneling up to the top for the last 40 years. And we are talking about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is having a town hall, 7 o'clock from the Capitol. It's going to stream, I believe, at The Guardian, as well as some other outlets, on Monday night. And he's talking to Michael Moore. He's talking to Elizabeth Warren. He is talking to Michael Moore, Elizabeth Warren, forget who else. And obviously, it's not a topic you'd ever see on CNN. Yes, Wolf Blitzer with CNN's town hall on oligarchy. No. So I like what Bernie's doing. But there's also, while Bernie is focusing on oligarchy, the Democratic Party is helping the Republicans keep that oligarchy nice and strong. Isn't that great? The party of the people? Party of the people! So let me know if you can hear me and see me while I keep going. I've been obviously testing things on a new platform, so want to make sure the tech is good. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm subscribed. I hit the bell. I liked. I shared. Why, thank you, Troy. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that people keep coming back Saturday afternoon, St. Paddy's Day. So if you're wearing some green, if you're drinking some green, thank you for sticking with me. I'm going to be doing this more often, live stream Saturday, Sunday, as I get back into the daily video game. Also doing podcasts, so check that out at my new Patreon. That's patreon.com/Jordan Chariton Reports. So my man, my favorite guy, Marcus Ely, he did on his Facebook a nice little list of all the Democrats that have voted to deregulate our economy. Would you like to see that list and how much money they've taken? Well, looky here. You got Senator Michael Bennet, $3,315,931. So that's Michael Bennet of Colorado. He's taken over $3 million from Wall Street, and he's voted, shockingly, to deregulate the big banks that took down our economy just 10 years ago. Then you got Tom Carper, the great state of Delaware, $843,000. Then you got Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, $571,000. Senator Joe Donnelly up for re-election this year, Indiana, $779,102. Senator Maggie Hassan, $421,000. She literally was just elected in 2016. I recall she was speaking for Hillary Clinton at one of her rallies in New Hampshire. She was the governor of New Hampshire, so she's already taken $421,000, and she's not even been a senator for a year and a half. Congratulations, Senator Hassan. Senator Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota fame, $645,388. She is up for re-election this year, and she has taken a lot of money in just a few years as a senator from Wall Street. Then you got Senator Doug Jones of Alabama, literally just elected in that special election. He beat a child molester. Congratulations to Doug Jones. Already $417,000 from Wall Street. Then you have U.S. Senator Tim Kaine, would have been vice president, loves speaking at rallies in Spanish to the Latino population, taken $1,644,000 and $1,644,469. Stronger Together. Angus King, independent from Maine, votes with the Democrats, $250,000 from Wall Street. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, $448,000. He's up for re-election. Senator Claire McCaskill, $1,714 up for re-election this year. Senator Bill Nelson of Florida, $1,550,000 up for re-election this year. Senator Gary Peters, $912,000. Senator Jean Shaheen, $867,000. Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, $1,558,000. John Tester of Montana, $1,713,000. He's up for re-election. Now, and thank you, Marcus Ely. He was a reporter with Truth Against the Machine. Go check out his page on the Facebook. It is facebook.com/All-American-Brumman. All-American Brumman. Not positive what the hell that means. So, why is this important? Why is it important to call out these Democrats? Why is it important? Because the Republicans cannot pass this toxic legislation without the Republican lights pretending to be representatives and stewards of the people. Like, Michael Bennet, a senator from Colorado, has taken over $3 million from Wall Street. The man who would be our vice president right now, Tim Kaine. I mean, look at that. $1,644,000. He's only been senator for a few years. I mean, this is shameful. This is oligarchy. This is what oligarchy looks like. This is what legalized bribery looks like. And you want to know something? I don't want to hear it from the Tom Watsons on social media and the Neera Tandons and the establishment puppets that protect these Democrats. You know what? Are these Democrats better than Republicans in terms of the female reproductive system? Absolutely. And that's a good thing. Are they better on social policy? Absolutely. But let's make no mistake. People are most interested in their wallet. People are most interested, can they put food on the table for their kids? I can't tell you how many times I went around the country and every single person I spoke to had economic struggle and in a lot of cases, economic despair to the point of desperation. So these other issues that Democrats might be better on it's not that they're not important, but we're living in a time where you basically have 16 Democrats and a lot more that vote with them on other stuff masquerading as, protectors of the people. Hillary Clinton at the DNC, she said, don't forget, we're the party of working people. Back to this list. This is not the working people that they're taking money from. They're taking money from Wells Fargo, who just got caught defrauding minorities again. They're taking money from Bank of America. They're taking money from JP Morgan Chase. I mean, all the banks that took down the economy just 10 years ago. Are we that desensitized that this is okay? Are we that desensitized that this is okay? And by the way, when you look at corporate media, when you look at the things that are covered right now, while the economy is supposedly doing stronger, even though, as Bernie points out, he wrote a piece for The Guardian, half the people are living paycheck to paycheck. Majority of people have bad health care. Majority of people are underemployed. Majority of people have to work longer hours for less pay. While this is all going on, they're talking about Stormy Daniels and that tit for tat with the president on TV. Well, last time I checked, if the president had sex with Stormy Daniels or she was paid off, is not going to be the determining factor whether you could afford groceries this week, or whether you could make your rent, or whether you can pay off that student loan bill that the majority of you have. But none of that is covered. And interestingly enough, or maybe not interestingly, Politico comes out with a piece basically saying, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here with this deregulation bill that's deregulating all the big banks. I'll read you some of this. This is from Politico. Hold on. Nellie Liang spent 6 years running the Federal Reserve's Financial Stability Division, whatever that is, which was created after the financial crisis of 2008 to try to prevent another one. So she has paid close attention to the bipartisan legislation the Senate passed this week to loosen some bank regulations. He writes it as some bank regulations. Liberal critics like Elizabeth Warren have savaged the bill as a recipe for the next financial catastrophe, an egregious sellout to Wall Street, and a dramatic rollback of the Dodd-Frank financial reforms. Liang's expert analysis is meh. Meh. Quote, "It's fine," said Liang, who is now a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. "It's not perfect, but I was afraid they would do something terrible. This definitely preserves the core of Dodd-Frank protections. I'm not upset about it." Oh, she's not upset about it. Okay, before I read any more of that, let me remind you, if those of you who maybe weren't into politics during the late 1990s, those of you that weren't paying attention during the 2000s, because Bernie woke a lot of people. You guys might have not necessarily been awake or that politically active. Well, in the late 90s, when Bill Clinton was, loosening derivatives, regulation on derivatives, when Bill Clinton was passing the repeal of Glass-Steagall, which allowed commercial banks and investment banks to basically merge, people like the person I just quoted who said meh were saying meh then. People were saying, oh, this is a great thing. It's gonna foster more investment, aka by rich people who don't actually invest in working people. They invest so they can buy more yachts. Let's keep it real. So they said in the 90s, oh, this whole repealing derivatives, nothing to see here. This won't be a big deal. By the way, that's what caused the financial crash. Repealing Glass-Steagall and deregulating derivatives. Just like deregulating the telecom industry, another Bill Clinton, fantastic choice by Bill Clinton, which I write about in Corporate Con Job, my book, Chapter 2. That's patreon.com/Jordan Chariton for that one. So, 90s, they tell you, no big deal. They're not doing, it's just a little tweak here and there. Not going to be a big deal, not going to hurt you. It's going to foster more investment. And looky, what's happening? And we know what happened. The economy collapsed. The global financial economy collapsed. You're probably still recovering. I spoke with union people in Detroit. I remember interviewing a bunch of union workers, auto workers at a Detroit diner about how their 401ks had been cut almost over a half, 3/4 of their 401k gone. Troy says it best, I am still in economic recovery. Well, not according to Donald Trump. Not according to CNN and MSNBC, who say the economy is doing just great. Just fantastic. It's not. I've seen it, and we all know that's not true. So let me read you just a little bit more of Politico's, frankly, blowjob. Excuse my French. There are plenty of legitimate questions about why Congress feels the need to provide regulatory relief to banks that are already enjoying record profits, and whether some of the bill's tweaks to Dodd-Frank will make the financial system less safe. But the doomsday rhetoric about those tweaks and the political rift they are creating within the Democratic Party seem extreme compared to their substance. The Senate bill leaves the vast majority of the Dodd-Frank reforms in place, which is why House Republicans who hate Dodd-Frank are already signaling they won't allow it to become law. The critiques of the bill as a giveaway to Wall Street megabanks seem particularly overblown. Very few of its changes would affect the dozen or so institutions that pose the largest potential dangers to the financial system. I don't know what this guy's smoking, but even the Democrats have said this will repeal some of the regulation for the big banks. Well, why would you be repealing any of the regulation for the big banks? The same big banks that, as Bernie says, too big to fail, still. The same big banks that are continuing to have record bonuses. The same big banks, did you know that they're repackaging student loans like they did putting together these crappy mortgages of homes? Now they're doing it with student loans. So if you have student loans, make sure you know where those loans are being packaged. And if you like this reporting, go support me now, patreon.com/Jordan Chariton Reports. If I didn't say, I'm going to be live Monday night while Bernie is doing this town hall. I'm going to be responding to his town hall on oligarchy, and I'm also going to be talking live to my audience because I want to share people's stories of how the oligarchy is affecting them. We need to get everyday people's stories back out there. We need to get everyday people's stories back out there. We can't keep, having pundits go on who are far removed from everyday people, explaining what the American people want, and this is the state of the American economy. No. None of these people actually get out there to talk to living, breathing American citizens. So I'm going to be live Monday night, probably an hour before Bernie goes live, so that would be 6 p.m. Eastern. Bernie, I believe, goes live at 7. I'll be responding and commenting live during his town hall on oligarchy, and then I'll be live after. So, jam-packed night. Hearing my voice and sharing your stories about oligarchy. I'll be reading the comments live and maybe some other things. So definitely come back Monday night. We'll start at 6 o'clock Eastern. Now, I want to read you just a little bit more of this asinine piece. 1 second. So, the Senate bill, drafted by Banking Committee Chairman Mike Crapo of Idaho and supported by 16 Democrats, mostly aims to boost small community banks, which do not tend to create much systemic risk when they fail. The nation's 6,500 community banks have outsized political clout, and even Senator Warren supports relieving some of their post-crisis regulatory burdens, which they blame for their declining numbers, tepid rural lending, and other business problems they face. Still, while the bipartisan Senate bill goes nowhere near as far as the partisan House bill that would gut just about all of Dodd-Frank, it does relax some restrictions on larger regional banks with assets of between $50 billion and $250 billion. A few of the Senate bill's provisions also introduce ambiguities that the critics believe will enable excessive risk-taking by Wall Street behemoths. Quote, "No, it is not an undoing of Dodd-Frank," said Michael Barr, who helped craft Dodd-Frank when he was an assistant Treasury Secretary under Obama. But I think it's a significant mistake. Well, here's the bottom line, folks. Here is the bottom line. You know, would you, hold on 1 second. Would you, if somebody went out and committed murder, right? And killed a lot of people, that person probably wouldn't be let out of jail. He probably would have a life sentence or whatever. But let's say he got off at parole, with parole. Would you then hand him a gun? So the analogy, why is it that when the big banks of this country wrecked the economy, we should not be repealing even one page of regulations for big banks? If anything, they should be still repaying the American citizens. Because make no mistake, those of you who lost 401k, the banks didn't pay you back for it. Those of you who lost your homes, did they pay for a new home for you? No. Those of you who lost so much money, you defaulted on your student loans? No. So they talk about, you said it right, Eric, different rules for them. So all we hear about in this hysterical corporate media that we have is about the attacks on democracy by Russia and the Russian trolls, and Trump is attacking our institutions. Well, let me be clear, as Bernie says. Our institutions have been attacking the American people for decades. And there has not been enough accountability for those institutions. Ian says, still waiting for my bailout. I couldn't agree more. And press the share button, get this out to more people. You are not being bailed out. That's for shit sure. You are not being bailed out. And the people that wreck the economy because they continue giving the money to your public servants. They get to do whatever they want. And interestingly enough, don't forget to plug my Twitch channel. Jen, my business partner, will put in the description here the address to my Twitch. I am also live on Twitch. So that's a good thing. Now, and let me know if you could hear me, if you could see me still. I'm getting some audio complaints, but overall, I think most people are hearing me well. Now, so like everything with corporate media, they're all corrupt. So the guy who wrote this article, let me find it. His name is, where does it say who wrote it? Oh, Michael Grunwald. Michael Grunwald, right? Michael Grunwald wrote the article. Well, guess who Michael Grunwald is, folks? This is from 2013. Former Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner has tapped Michael Grunwald, the senior national correspondent for Time magazine, to help him write his forthcoming book about the financial crisis. Quote, I'm writing his book. In writing his book, former Secretary Geithner will collaborate with Michael Grunwald, a senior national correspondent for Time magazine. Grunwald, who declined to comment, will help Geithner write the book, but will not be named as a co-author. As a former Washington Post reporter, he has written 2 books under his own name, The Swamp, The Everglades, Florida, and the Politics of Paradise, and The New Deal, The Hidden Story of Change in the Obama Era. So that's who wrote, basically, meh, no big deal about the rollback of Dodd-Frank. A guy who basically ghost wrote the book for former Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, who, if you recall, Timothy Geithner played a tiny little part in making sure awful banks, awful criminals, and that's what they are. These bankers are criminals, yet they're not treated like criminals. So there are more people arrested in America for smoking or dealing pot than bankers go to jail for taking down the global economy and stealing your money. Let that sink in. There are more people in America that go to jail for pot, for selling pot, for all sorts of dumb things. While these bankers, who Michael Grunwald writes, rolling back Dodd-Frank, it's just a small little thing, not to worry. While I ghost wrote Timothy Geithner's book, who helped make sure that the criminal bankers got hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of your money. That's America, folks. That's the democracy, our precious democracy that we need to worry is under attack. I'll play this one more time for you. One more time. So we can let it sink in. Just who it is that's running the show here. Hold on one second. Hold on. Bluetooth. No, we don't want the mouse. We want Bluetooth off. There we go. Why is it not working? I don't know. It's going to play that clip for you. Did not work. Oh, here we go. Stick with me, folks. We're getting it. We're getting. Stick with me. Stay with me.
Is set to meet with top White House officials. Including Gary Cohn and Mark Short, to discuss tax reform. Joining me now, Chairman and CEO of Diamond Resorts, a good friend of mine.
I hear the millionaire or billionaire word, and I told them to stop it, knock it off, because everyone wants to do really well, and this is the world of the aspirations.
Then are you worried that the Democratic Party is going too far to the left?
So much so, it drives me nuts. So much so, it would make me quit the party. And I've made it very clear, I'll cut your money off. And others will do the same. We've had enough.
Okay,
we need a new brand.
And what is that brand? Because right now there is an opportunity. If Democrats lose, for example, in the state of Virginia, if that isn't a wake-up call that the Democratic leadership needs to get together and say, we've got to find a middle ground. Because if the Democrats continue to go far to the left, you've got that whole group in the center that aren't going to go the way of Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. And then you're going to fracture the party even more.
It's fractured. It's broken. We need a new brand. It needs to be simple. Keep it simple. Tax reform, keep it simple. Infrastructure, no bumps in the road. What more do we have to say? They need to have a new brand created.
Is the Democratic Party in worse shape than Republicans?
They're both insane.
But at the end of the day, like them or not, as I said earlier, there's a lot of people that don't like President Trump, but then they showed up and voted Republican. Are we going to see Democrats pull it together and vote together? A lot of Bernie supporters did not turn and vote for Hillary. They just didn't vote at all.
I know, and I can tell you that if we go far left, I'm out. I'm out. We need middle ground.
So when you tell the Democratic leadership this, when you meet with Wyden and Pelosi and Schumer, what do they say to you?
Well, so...
Oh, so he's out. He's out. This man is out if he doesn't get his way. Well, I say goodbye. Goodbye. Because nobody is following the billionaire, former hotel tycoon's lead anymore. Those days are over. Over. And make no mistake, these kinds of individuals, Stephen Klubeck, these kinds of individuals are the ones that are buying off the politicians who are funneling money from the banks. So it's a revolving door process. It is a giant revolving door getting slammed in your face. So Nancy and Chuck, who Stephen Klubeck talked about in that clip, that he has told him, Chuck Schumer and her, Nancy Pelosi, cut it out, as Hillary Clinton told Wall Street, cut it out. I told you to stop. I told you to knock it off. Stop talking about billionaires. It's these people that are running our oligarchy. It's these people who say, I started with nothing, so everybody should be able to get to my level. It's these people who are responsible for the suffering and misery I've seen on the road. As a reminder, it's your financial support that's going to get me back on the road. It's your support that's going to help me launch a new company. So don't just subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to my Patreon. Subscribe to my Steemit. And make sure you sign up to my email list. Jen is putting all the information in this chat and description box. So it's good that Bernie is doing this town hall because we can't, Paul Revere is not coming. You're right, Todd. Most of these people who say they started out with nothing started out with a loan from their parents. No other than our president, who got, I believe, a $2 or $3 billion loan from his father. But the fact that it's getting so little attention right now, so little attention that literally just 10 years ago, we were near a Great Depression. America has this selective amnesia that we can only focus on like what happened 10 days ago. Not even 10 days ago anymore. Do you remember how bad things were? Do you remember the lines down 2 or 3 blocks for job fairs? Do you remember the calls you might have had with your mortgage company or your college to redo your student loans? You remember having to cancel vacations or whatever the case was for all of you. And now they are basically taking your money again, allowing the banks to take your money again. Go to the casino, play blackjack. I'm not being dramatic. That's what's happening. And frankly, CNN, MS, NBC, New York Times, Washington Post, and a lot of other outlets, including some independent media outlets, are not shining a light on this. Because it's not just, make no mistake, it's not just that the 16 Democrats voting with these Republicans are fake progressives. They also take a lot of money from big oil. They also take a lot of money from big pharma. They also take money from Silicon Valley. It's all of these sources that are keeping the rich rich and the poor poor. Because, quote unquote, infrastructure projects, as an example, well, you have a company like Energy Transfer Partners, which is a gigantic oil company. It's the parent company of the Dakota Access Pipeline. It's the parent company of the Rover Pipeline in Ohio, the Trans-Pecos Pipeline in Texas, the Bayou Bridge Pipeline in Louisiana, and a gazillion others. Well, guess what? Not only are these politicians allowing the big banks to go back to the casino with your money, but these politicians are allowing the big oil companies to basically dig up your earth, your country, your backyards in many cases, with eminent domain. I covered a pipeline in Texas called the Trans-Pecos Pipeline. They were digging up against conservative hillbillies' land. Your Dick Cheney, Fox News loving conservatives who weren't happy about it. So the big oil executives, because they pay off the government, they get to put whatever power plant, whatever pipelines they want through, open up whatever power plants they want, mining. I mean, the list goes on and on. Same thing with big pharma. We can't get cheaper prescription drugs in this country because big pharma has paid off the politicians. So spare me when everybody wants to focus on Russia. Do I think Russia is a democracy? No, I do not. Do I think Russia president has the United States' best interest at heart? No, I do not. Do I think it's possible that Russia poisoned a British ex-spy? Yes. But frankly, I don't give a damn about Russia because Russia has nothing to do with our oligarchy. Russia has nothing to do with those of you who are watching, and I really, really appreciate all of you who are watching on a Saturday afternoon. Like I said, I'm going to go live on weekends from time to time now. Russia has nothing to do with the continued struggle that each one of you has had to suffer. Russia has nothing to do with your productivity skyrocketing, yet your wages staying stagnant or going down. Russia has nothing to do with your healthcare deductibles being thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Russia has zero to do with water being contaminated across this country. They're freaking out about Russian hackers penetrating our electrical grid. Where's the concern for literally every day there being another city and municipality having contaminated water? Which seems to be, I seem to be one of the few covering that on a daily basis. And Todd, you just asked, are you covering our national parks with big oil and mining? Go check out the interviews I just put up on the YouTube channel this week. I interviewed a great independent journalist named Teresa Joy about Bears Ears, which is another example of oligarchy. Our government is essentially shrinking 85% of a national monument very sacred to the Native Americans so that they can drill, baby drill, and mine for uranium. Yet, we're focusing on our quote-unquote democracy being under attack, and if Trump is compromised. Well, you know what? Obama was compromised. Bush was compromised. Bill Clinton was compromised. Bush the Elder was compromised. Reagan was certainly compromised. So I'm not saying let's not worry at all about Russia. But what I am saying is stop the deflection and stop the distraction. It's all a distraction. Russia is not responsible for us going to war nonstop, endlessly. Basically, to topple democratically elected dictators around the world so that we could get oil. Oliver Stone has a great documentary showing how we have interfered in more elections than any foreign country has interfered in our democracy. So I would encourage you, I'll post the link to Marcus's Facebook post with all the Democrats that voted for this disastrous bill, how much money they've taken. I encourage you, let them hear your voices. Let them know that you're not going to just sit here and allow them to basically sell you out without hearing from you. Make sure, if you don't live in their states, people you know that do are aware of what's going on. Because legalized bribery can no longer be considered normal. Legalized bribery and theft, what they're doing is stealing from you, can no longer be considered acceptable or normal. Idiots like Stephen Klubeck, who went on MSNBC, and I played you his clip, should no longer be looked at as the revered leaders in American society, business leaders. No, they're greedy animals. That's what they are. They're greedy animals. And by the way, there's another component of this. If you don't know, I won't be long on it. There is also the corporatization of social media. Why do you think independent media views are down across the board? You look at my stream right now, you look at other independent media outlets, their views are down, their subscribers are down, because YouTube, through some things they're doing with their algorithm, is suppressing non-establishment news. Is suppressing independent media. If I showed you the responses I've been getting from YouTube on just why it is that after growing over 7,000 subscribers in just 2 weeks in this channel, all of a sudden subscribers just hit a wall. All of a sudden I was going from 1,000 to 2,500 views per video to a couple hundred. That's not a coincidence. That's not an ebb and flow. And I thought it was just me, but it's happening to Kyle Kulinski of Secular Talk. It's happening to Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report. It's happening to Jimmy Dore of the Jimmy Dore Show. So not only do you have on one hand politicians taking legal bribes for their bosses at the banks, the pharmaceutical companies, and Jamal Thomas, thank you, taking legal bribes from the pharmaceutical companies, big oil, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, but now the quote-unquote social media or digital media companies are trying to censor and suppress and make sure you cannot see the rare voices that actually expose it. Well, you know what happens when that slippery slope of censorship? That leads to fascism. I'm not being dramatic. That leads to fascism. Economic disparity, censorship are two of the hallmarks of what leads to fascism. So that's why it's super important to be creative and try different things. As I told you, I am going to be doing a lot more on steemit.com. That's STEEMIT.com/@Jordan Chariton. You have to go first to steemit.com. That's STEEMIT.com. Sign up. It might take a little while for them to approve you. I hope Steemit improves in that area so that people get approved very quickly. And then when you get approved, follow me. You can follow Lee Camp is on there, other independent media. And it is a new type of platform for video, for articles, for other things. Independent media does not get censored. There is no censorship. There is no corporate overlord over it. And we could also make money. We do have to live and pay bills per post through digital currency. So I think Steemit is going to be a great new platform. Yeah, I've heard that, Michael. He said he's been waiting a week. Unfortunately, they do take a little time, but hopefully they speed that up. As more people and more demand for their product comes, hopefully they will have more hands to approve people. I also think it's good that they are taking more time so they are not just accepting bots. Because obviously bots are a huge problem. So we're going to be on Steemit. We're going to be multicasting on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Jen and I, my business partner, are also very much focusing on when we do launch our company, which, as a reminder, we have a name. The logo is basically done. We're going to be going out to investors in the next week or two. We do not want to depend on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or any of these people. We want to depend solely on you. So that's why I hope not only will you support us at my Patreon page, which will eventually become the company. My podcasts are there. My video diary is there. Some other exclusive rewards for patrons will be there. But I also hope you go to my website, jordanchariton.com, enter your email. The more direct contact we have with you, the more we could cut out these, frankly, repressive digital media platforms. And I don't sugarcoat it, and I literally mean this. We cannot do it without you. Your financial support, you could go $2, $5, $10 a month. There's a little higher for different rewards. That's patreon.com/Jordan Chariton Reports. Your social media support, bookmarking my Twitter at Jordan Chariton, making sure you have notifications, retweeting, sharing. Not just me, but Lee, Jimmy, all these people. Sending your story ideas. I'm going to be interviewing someone on my podcast that literally emailed me. I didn't know about a story about how they're dumping nuclear waste literally on a beach, a public beach in Southern California. How the hell would I know about that? This guy emailed me. That's email jordan@protonmail.com. I'll put that in for you right here. I mean, don't send me crazy stuff, but real stories, because as you know, I like to get stories from the people, because I think the truth comes from the people, not pundits. Not pundits. Too many corporate outlets and too many independent outlets that I won't name focus on interviewing pundits and experts who have all sorts of conflicts of interest and motivations. I want to speak with people. The first podcast that's now up on my Patreon page, I had a long interview with a Flint resident. And you will hear things from her that you will not hear anywhere else about what's really going on in Flint. And yes, we're working on setting up an interview with Allison Hartson. Thank you for that. So, the moral of the story is, as the Sunday shows tomorrow, fixate on the president and a porn star. As the Sunday shows, fixate on Andrew McCabe being fired, who's the deputy FBI director, and what that means for the Russia investigation. While that happens, remember, they're not covering the fact that the banks that destroyed this economy are basically being allowed to do it again. And 16 Democrats, quote unquote, the resistance, are helping Republicans get that passed. That's why I cover the Democrats just as much as Republicans. You have to be critical of the people who are portraying themselves as fighters and protectors of working people when they are selling out working people. Because the Republican Party, forget them. We know what they are. We know what they are. Thank you for watching on this Saturday. I hope you enjoy your St. Paddy's Day. I hope you make sure you click the bell so that when my videos go up, you get them. Make sure you tell your friends, your family, subscribe to this channel. That's youtube.com/Jordan Chariton Reports. Like I said, YouTube is doing some funny business where videos aren't getting delivered to subscribers, where notifications, even if you have notifications on, they are not notifying you. So you can also reach out to YouTube if those things aren't happening. Send the URL of the page. That would be my page. You could go to YouTube's Help Center. I know it's a pain, but if enough people start reaching out to YouTube, and it's not just for me, for Kyle's page, Secular Talk, Mike's page, The Humanist Report, Jamal Thomas's page, Progressive Soapbox, Jimmy's page, The Jimmy Dore Show. They're all having similar problems. We need you more than ever. And like I said, last time I'll say it, today, if you want to support the type of journalism I'm trying to do, and make no mistake, I will not be coming to you for the next 20 years from my apartment, reading articles to you and giving my thoughts. Just as soon as my back is healed from surgery, and just as soon as we have the investors and the startup capital, we will be out, and we will be staying out in front of a camera, showing the people of this country what's really going on, who's really getting screwed, naming names, putting a damn spotlight on the corrupt, and hopefully bringing down some corrupt people while delivering justice to those people getting screwed. Because it's about time media actually fights for the people, not the corporate parents that own us, not the investors that give us millions of dollars. And you know what? I don't give a damn if I'm low tech right now. I don't give a damn if my YouTube goes up, goes down. I don't care if certain establishment folks mock me. It's like, oh, look at that guy who was fired, who's now going on YouTube and Twitch. I don't give a damn, because I got something they don't. And that's the support of real people. The viewers who choose to support me and my eventual company that's going to be much bigger than me. I have a reporter in mind to start with me and other reporters to join us. That's all I need. Viewers who actually want to hear about oligarchy, viewers who actually want to hear about water poisoning, people who actually want to hear about state and local corruption, people who actually want to hear about progressive uprisings happening around the country. Look at the West Virginia teacher strike. I just did a report the other day on now a New Jersey teacher strike. People who actually want to hear about the original sin of the United States and the continued treachery being done to Native Americans. I just did several videos this week on Bears Ears National Monument, which is being shrunk by 85%, sacred land to the Native Americans. You're not going to get that anywhere else. People actually want to get follow-ups to the East Chicago-led crisis, which is still a crisis, where poor brown and black people are suffering because of DuPont, another dirty, corrupt, greedy company that the United States government right now is allowing to profit off of poisoning poor people. You can watch that video. Yes, I saw Graham Elwood did Bears Ears coverage. She's great. So thank you for watching on a Saturday. I hope you'll go right when this ends. I hope you'll support me. Even a few bucks helps. I hope you will go to my website, sign up for the email list, and I will hopefully be back tomorrow. Thank you for watching.